Hello again, and welcome to Clear Skies Retirement with Jay Kirkwood at Secure Financial Management. My name is Randy Cook, and each week we sit down here and talk through some of the things you might be wondering about. One of these days, you are actually going to quit your job, and you're going to go into this thing called retirement. First of all, you might be wondering, what am I going to do? The next thing you might be wondering about is, where's the money coming from? That's what this show is all about. Jay, how are you doing today?
I'm really well, Randy. How are you?
I'm good. And, you know, when somebody walks in your door, I know we've talked about this in the past, is one of the first questions they ask is, can I retire? And your answer usually is?
I don't know. That's not what you want to hear, right?
But it's true, though, isn't it?
It is true.
It's absolutely true. Because there's a few things we got to get in order. And we're going to talk today what I think is job number one. Because when you get paid every 2 weeks on your paycheck right now in your working years, you know how much you're bringing home. And you build your life on that number. You're going to go into this thing called retirement. What is the number that you're bringing in every month? And, Jay, that's pretty much the most important thing that you can do, isn't it?
It really is, because that's going to dictate what sort of retirement am I having. And there isn't a right number. Randy, you said people will say, can I retire? And our answer is going to be, I don't know, right? One of the other very common questions we get is, well, kind of how much retirement income is everybody else on? Right?
Okay,
everybody
yeah.
else wants to know kind of where is everybody? And I mean, I can give them a figure, but does it really matter? Right? Because what we want to do is we want to craft a plan that makes the retirement that you're wanting to experience happen. Okay, that's what we have at the bottom of our logo is we make retirement happen, right? We figure out what can we do to make this dream that you've got become a reality. Now, look, the truth might be that the answer is this dream's still a couple years away, right? We need to keep working, right? The answer more often than not, though, is, hey, you're ready right now, financially. Maybe mentally you're not ready. You need to kind of like take some time and decide, hey, I'm moving from work life into retirement and kind of, make peace with that. But more than often, the answer is you're ready to go now, right? Because we need to get you, whatever the figure is, 5,000, 6,000, 8,000, 3,000, 25,000. The ranges are all over the place, right? This is what I need a month to live on, to take care of my bills, do a bit of traveling, hang out with the grandkids, volunteer a bit, whatever it is. And we need to see the assets that you have. Can we make your retirement plans come true at the income level that you need with what you have? And that really is the jumping off point. If you're not starting with that, I would question how stable and how customized is that conversation and that plan that you have.
You know, what's interesting to me is the financial industry, which should be on top of this, is not. Because all the messages that we have out there is you need 1.4 million to retire, 1.7, 1.8 million to retire. And they all focus on that great big number that you're supposed to save. Nobody says 6,000 a month, 7,000 a month, 8,000 a month. Nobody says that, but that's where you have to start, isn't it?
It is where you have to start, Randy, because that whole number of I need X, all right? It's a great headline, right? It's great clickbait to see, oh, experts say you need 2 million to retire. Who's the guy that's retiring? Right? It's not me. They didn't write the article about me. So who's this cat they're talking about that's going to retire?
Yeah.
Well, does he have 3 houses? You know, I kind of made this joke on one of our other shows is that we were listening to a clip with some guy who said, if you don't have 5 million, you're never going to retire.
Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
And I'm like, is this one of his friends that's like a multi-billionaire or something that needs 5 million to retire on, and he needs to pay for his yacht and his 3 ex-wives and 4 vacation houses? Because if you need 5 million to retire on, there's not many people retiring.
Yeah.
I can tell you that right now, right? So what does that 5 million mean? What sort of lifestyle are we trying to generate off this? Because that's not our typical client. Yeah, we have people that come in with 5+ million, but it's not most people, right? That's not your average person. Most people that come and see us, they've got $5 million to $3 million. And they're coming in, they're saying, I've worked hard. Here's the result of my sacrifice for the last 30 or 40 years where I've saved and worked hard. I don't need to live like O'Leary's friend, right? I don't have all these extra expenses, but I'd love to travel around and see my kids and my grandkids.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to have to be awake at night worrying about, can I afford to go out and have dinner tomorrow, right? You know, I don't want to worry about if gas goes from $3 to $4. I just want to have a nice, comfortable, relaxed retirement. Make that happen.
Yeah. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we did a story about this, and there was a story that said that the average retiree right now is living on about $6,000 a month. And after we did that story, I went back and I was going through and I saw that story again, and there was all these comments, you know, that people comment at the bottom. And all these people were saying, 6,000, I'm getting by on a lot less than that. I'm doing it on 35, or I'm doing it on 5. And then one person said, yeah, 6,000's about right. I've been retired for 18 months and I'm doing it on $6,700 a month. Here are my biggest expenses. He and his wife had retired early, so they were having to pay for health care, and it was $15,000 a year.
Wow.
So that was a lot of their big budget, and that'll go away once they get, you know, into Medicare age and that. But, you know, $6,000 a month, you know, maybe that does it for you. Maybe it's $8,000, whatever it is. Let's sit down and do the math on it. That's what we talk about, going through the process and putting pencil to paper and figuring out what you need. You bring that 401k and everything that you've saved, and then you figure out what it's going to deliver. So that's part of the process. Do you want to know if you can retire? Let's do the math on it. Let's figure out what you make per month now, and let's try to match that or even give you a little bit more. Give us a call. Give us a look at our website, clearskiesretirement.com, clearskiesretirement.com, or 210-985-6200, 210-985-6200. So we've mentioned in the past that Jay is a pilot, and being a pilot, one of the advantages of doing that and having your own plane is you don't have to pay baggage fees. Good for you, Jay. All right. I have got a figure here you're not going to believe. Last year, the top 20 airlines made $33 billion in baggage fees. If you look at flight change fees, seat change fees, and all the other garbage that they charge us for, that number goes up to $118 billion.
Wow.
That is huge. So we talk about moving everything over to the financial realm here. Jay, when you do that analysis, somebody brings in that 401k. They bring in their portfolio with their mutual funds and their stock holdings. Maybe they have an advisor right now. The amount of money that's going out, does it surprise people when you do that analysis?
It does, Randy, often surprise people, because a lot of it is very opaque, right? It's not clear. You can't see, especially in the 401k world. There's just no accounting for kind of what's going on fee-wise. This is starting to get more and more attention in the marketplace, and it's good that it is.
Yeah.
Because the number of times we have people come into our office and say, well, I guess the advantage of my 401k is, you know, I'm not paying any fees for it, right? And I was like, well, first of all, let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, if you think that's the case, what services would you be paying for inside your 401k? Are you getting investment advice? Are you getting allocation advice? Are you getting financial planning? It's pretty rare to see that inside a 401k. Let's circle back to the fee side of it, Randy, because this is an interesting conversation. I won't mention company names. If any of our listeners want to go and Google it, they will find thousands of results on this. This is becoming such a problem that a lot of big 401ks are now getting sued. The employers are getting sued because of the fees involved in the 401k. And I think really what upsets people with it, right? We obviously charge for clients to work with us. We're a business. Most people get that, all right? So you come in and we say very clearly, if you want to work with us, this is the cost. It's all accounted for. It's very clear. 401ks don't have that, right? You log in and you look at your portfolio and there's a number, right? Kind of, oh, this is what my value is today. You don't see what's going on behind the scenes. And I think that's what's upsetting a lot of people is, first of all, I didn't think I was paying anything. Then I find out that I am. And then if I'm paying for something, what am I getting? And there's kind of ends up being a net zero on all that, right? Is that I'm paying for something I didn't know I was, and I'm receiving no value back. And that's what's really upsetting people with a lot of this. And if it's explained and it's clear and there's value, usually not much of a problem, but that's what's upsetting a lot of people. And some of these 401ks are with some huge, huge companies that you would think this is not happening with, and it really is.
Yeah. You know, I kind of draw the picture of A couple of years ago, I decided that I didn't want to spend my weekends mowing my lawn and trimming bushes and doing all that goes along with that. So I hired a service. And when I was hiring that service, I said, okay, what's the price per week? And they told me what it is. And I said, what are you going to do for that price? Some guys would come over and they were just going to mow the lawn. That's all they were going to do. Other guys were going to blow the lawn off. They were going to do my bushes. They were going to fertilize. They were going to do weed killer. And there was so much more that they were going to do for that price. So there was value there. So I think that if you are looking for a financial professional in your life, that's part of the question that you have to sit down and say, all right, what do you charge? What am I getting for what I'm charged? And I think that the answer that comes back can't be, I'm going to monitor the market for you and I'm going to make sure this and that. There's got to be more than that.
There really should be. And we've talked about this a little bit in the past. I actually dedicate a chapter inside my book, Wall Street's Game, to this kind of topic, right? And in general, the topic is dealing with, hey, you got to have a bit of common sense when you're looking at your investments and the different things and the people you're going to engage for this service. And the reason I bring that up is we had a meeting with a client just this week, and she was bringing her account from a different advisor. And she said she was a referral from an existing client. I said, okay, well, kind of how much are you paying for this service with the other advisor? And she's like, well, that's kind of why I'm here. I was like, okay. She's like, he told me it's all free.
All free.
And she said, it's all free. There's no cost for what we do. And I said, is he a volunteer? How is this working? And she said, well, that's exactly why, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I know there's something here, right? I know there's costs, right? Am I receiving an invoice and I'm having to write a check? No. But how is this office operating? How are the lights on? How are they paying for their health insurance? How are they paying for their family to eat, right? There's got to be costs somewhere. And I always say, if the cost is not up front there and it's very clear, there's a reason for that, right? It's behind the scenes somewhere and they don't want you to know what that real cost is.
It is interesting that the financial industry is one of the only industries that will hide that, what you're paying for it. They'll take it out of your gains. They'll, subtract it at the end of the year. If you had to write a check for $12,000 every year at the end of the year, you'd probably think twice about that. That might be the biggest check you write all year, and you would certainly question, say, what am I getting for my $12,000? And you should be asking that question up front.
That's exactly right, Randy, is if you're cutting that check, right, maybe that's what the cost of the business is, right? Maybe that's what the cost it is to do business with a certain group, okay? But where's the value? Are they watching your account? Well, they should. They should be watching your accounts, right? But is there planning in there, right? Are they constantly in that process of saying, this is where we should be in this plan that is designed to last for 15, 20, 30 plus years? And are we staying on track with it? If we're not, what do we do right now so that we can stay on track?
Yep. Ongoing support.
Do we need to look at the tax side of it? Do we have a tax issue coming down the road that we need to get ahead of now? If we do, let's loop in our CPA team, right? Let's get them involved. That's all part of the service that's being provided for you. Hey, have you guys done your estate planning? No, we haven't. It's funny you bring that up. I was like, yeah, we bring it up because this is the time, the transfer from work life to retirement that a lot of our clients end up saying, I really need to look at my estate planning. Yeah. Well, have you got someone you're working with on that? No, we don't even know where to start. Hey, let me get you in front of our estate planning team and work with them on getting these wills, these power of attorneys, these trusts all taken care of so that everything is working together to complete that goal.
So I say on these kind of a program, these financial shows that you listen to, and you may listen to a whole bunch of them, maybe you have an advisor. If you have an advisor or you don't have an advisor, listen to me here. If you have an advisor, are you getting not only investment advice, tax advice, Social Security advice, estate planning advice? Are you getting all of those services for what you're paying? And if you're not, you should be. And that is why we encourage you to get a second opinion. Give us a call. Give us a look at Secure Financial Management. Talk to Jay and the team. ClearSkiesRetirement.com is our website. Just look it up. ClearSkiesRetirement.com, or give us a call. We'll go through the process, the Get Me to Retirement 5-step process, and you will see the value at Secure Financial Management. 210-985-6200, 210-985-6200. Well, there's a lot of people that might go into retirement with a lot of big dreams. And then you look at those dreams and how much they cost. And we go, maybe not. maybe I won't bring 15 people to Hawaii this year, right? Well, the people at GoBankingRates.com put up a list of the 4 money splurges that you will never regret if you go into retirement. And they are...
I can't wait to hear this list.
All right. Splurges on your own health, splurges on family, splurges on travel, and splurges on charity. So when people come to you in the meetings and you say, well, what do you want to do in retirement? And they start listing these things off. Is it common for you to say, maybe we would pare that back just a little bit, or this is what you saved for, let's do it?
Our first approach is always, yes, let's see how we can make it work, right? That's not a guarantee it will, right? But it's let's see if we can make this work. This is what your dream is. Let's start big, and if we have to work backwards, then we can, right? But you're absolutely right, is that most of the people we deal with, they've sacrificed for decades, saving, paying off debt, getting into this great situation, and now they want to enjoy it, right? And kind of as you were going through that list, you know what a lot of them struck me as? These are memories. They're memories you're going to make.
Building experiences,
travel. It's spending time with your family. It's these events that you do once, but they live on forever as you remember them, right? And there's a lot of value in that, I feel. And a lot of our clients feel the same way. One of the ones you mentioned there that it's not in 100% of meetings when we're doing retirement planning, but it would be in 95 is travel, right? I want to travel. I want to get out. And travel means different things to different people, right? To some people, that travel is, I'm going on a round the world cruise. We have a client that last year, he and his wife did an 80-day cruise around South America, right down one side, up the other. We're back in town for about 2 weeks, and then went on a 75-day cruise through Northern Africa and down around the bottom of Africa. So that's some travel, right? You're gone for half a year. That's some real travel. That's not everybody's version of travel, right? Some people's travel is, I want to get down to the Gulf Coast here, right? I've either got a place or I want to get a place down in Port Aransas or somewhere down there. And that's my travel, right? And why shouldn't that be your retirement? Right? If you've done the hard work, you've done the heavy lifting, and now it's time to enjoy it, why shouldn't that be it?
Yeah, we were just working on a commercial for your show, and we were talking about flying first class and how so many people will look at a $400 ticket and say, that's what I'll do, but the $800 is first class, and your whole life you go, that's too expensive. I'm not going to do that. And then your dad used to say, well, you know, the back end of the plane gets there as soon as the front end of the plane does too, so just fly, coach. Well, when you get into retirement, this is that time when you kind of want to reward yourself a little bit. You know what? I want to have a real plate and some real silverware and understand what it sounds like and feels like in that first class just once maybe. And this is that time you've saved for, so let's try to make that happen. I think that's an important part of retirement is dream big. Let's put the money with it and let's sit down and have the meeting and figure out if that's possible.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean being reckless. Right? It doesn't mean that necessarily, right? It's about, this is what I have. How can I maximize my enjoyment from this for myself, for my family, without the risk of running out of money later in life? And that's where the comprehensive side of the planning comes in, Randy.
Right.
Right? It's like, let's do the work. Is there a bit of work at the front of this financial planning process that's get me to retirement? Yeah. And if you're not putting that work in, I would question what sort of planning is being done. Right, that's the first thing I question, right? How comprehensive is this planning? But it's about getting things in line so that we know, hey, this is the amount of money we have coming in retirement that we don't have to worry about, right? Can we back our dreams into this? Can we do that first class trip that you mentioned? So, you talked about baggage fees. Well, if you go first class, you don't have to pay baggage fees, right?
There you go.
There you go. We just saved $60 already. Right?
There was a commercial on TV a while back where there was a guy who was young, and he was walking through a plane, and he looked down and he saw himself as an older person. And he's like looking at him going, what's going on here? He said, I'm here because for years we sat back there.
Yeah.
I thought that was great because we all have made those sacrifices.
Absolutely.
And you said people come in and they've been great savers. So they've made those sacrifices. But not only that, Jay, you've made all these sacrifices for your kids. You've made sacrifices at your job. And now all of a sudden, they call this your golden years. This is the time to focus on you. So I want people to come in and say, you know what? I put this money together and I want to enjoy it. Show me how much I can enjoy my money. And I want the confidence to spend. I don't want to think every time I spend $80 or $100, I don't want to go, can I do this? I don't want that. I want to know that I have the confidence that the money is there and that bucket's going to get filled up every month.
It's that. And do you want the concern of every time the stock market takes a bit of a dip? Because I've got some predictions I can make. Mm-hmm. The stock market's going to go up and down, right? Okay. It's very insightful.
Oh, you're out on a limb there, my friend.
Oh, yeah. I don't guarantee much, but I'll guarantee that. Okay. And every time it takes that down leg, you want to be thinking, well, that trip we had planned, is that still doable? Mm-hmm. Right? Hey, I want to take my grandkids to Disneyland. I don't know if that's going to happen now because the market's down 10% and I wasn't prepared for it, right? You don't want that, right? You talk about the sacrifice and the savings for decades to finally arrive here. The worry should be behind you, right? It should be done at this point. Now it's about maximizing your enjoyment out of those sacrifices.
So true. And I think that there is this fear, and we bang on financial media a little bit, but you hear out there, the number one fear of people is running out of money. I don't necessarily know that is all true for everybody, but I do know this, that if you didn't do the planning that you should have, or you didn't save like you should have, then what you're going to do is you're going to make adjustments. You're going to say exactly what Jay just said. Bad year in the market. I'm not going to make that trip. Bad time. I'm not going to buy a new car. I'm going to put that off for a couple more years. You make adjustments. You won't run out of money. You're making adjustments, but they're adjustments the wrong way. I don't want people to do that in retirement, Jay. I want people to enjoy and have confidence to spend.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This should not be the time that you're worrying about where's my next paycheck coming from, right? Most of us have been employees working for people over the years, over our careers, right? And you're in a job, but that's not guaranteed, right? And you've kind of worried about am I doing a good job? Will I stay here? Should I move to a different employer? That should be behind you. You shouldn't be worrying about your income and your paychecks once you're through that, right? That should be behind you. And it's to your point, that's been the number one fear that's been out there for probably since I started doing these surveys, right? Okay. And you're right, you will make adjustments, but the fear is very valid. Yeah. And we talk about this with clients as well, right? The truth is sometimes we have to have discussions with clients that come in and say, I want to retire, and this is what I expect in retirement. This is what I want to do. This is the income I need to support that. And we look at the situation and we say, hey, look, we're going to have a real discussion with you here because telling you what you want to hear, that's not the truth, doesn't really help anybody, right? So we've got to have a real discussion. And the truth is that if you want to do A, B, C, and D in retirement, and it's going to cost X, you're just not there yet, right? You've got to work for a few more years, or, we cut a few of these things. You decide what the right move is for you, okay? That is an easier conversation, and everybody we know would rather have that conversation now when they're 57, they're 60, they're 65, or whatever it is, where I don't really want to work a couple more years, but I have the ability to. Right, I can drive to work. I'm functional. I can get that done. And I'll do it for a few more years. When you don't really have that option is when you're 85.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when you don't want to be having this discussion with yourself or whoever it is you're working with at the time is we didn't put a good plan in place 25 years ago. I didn't really know what I was getting into. I just kind of spent and hoped everything worked out. And now here I am. I'm 85. I've gone through my money. I've only got my Social Security left. I went to Walmart. All the greeter positions are full. I don't know what I'm going to do now.
Thanks again for listening to the Clear Skies Retirement Podcast. If you want to know more about secure financial management or how you can talk to Jay and the team, you can find us online at retire210.com. That's retire210.com. And if you want to hear more of this podcast, make sure you hit the follow or subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. We'll see you next time here on the Clear Skies Retirement Podcast with Jay Kirkwood.
Investment advisory services offered through investment advisory representatives at Secure Financial Management, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed are not designed nor intended to be applicable to any person's individual circumstances. It should not be considered as investment advice, nor does it constitute a recommendation that anyone engage in or refrain from a particular course of action. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Secure Financial Management is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Secure Financial Management is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Wholesalers Insurance. Jamin J. Kirkwood, Texas Insurance License number 1421850.